We are here with Janelle Maglione. She is a former track and field superstar and now a professional student slash activist slash creative super person that is doing so many great things. Janelle, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. It's been too long.
Right? So for those who don't know, Janelle competed for me at Mater Dei High School and did very, very well. What was your experience with track and field throughout youth and high school?
hmm So track and field for me was something that I was kind of pushed into. It was kind of a, well, you might as well try out for a sport type of thing. And I got more from it than I ever could have imagined. Keinan became the biggest mentor for me, guiding me into kind of how I started to set my goals and how I kind of figured myself out and learned a lot more about myself, and was honestly played such a big role in my childhood. And that was also through track, and he helped me eventually my senior year become a team captain, which was such an empowering experience for me. I was able to motivate my team members, even though I was never necessarily number one. It was really for me about getting the team together and kind of helping the younger kids realize their own power and their own leadership capabilities. And it also just kind of gave me a team of people that I never would have crossed paths with, and people that I'm still best friends with today, and people that I know I can count on, and I know like will always put a smile on my face, as well as a mentor that I can always go back to. Shout out Keinan. And track even kind of influenced where I am today in terms of college and education and things like that. I remember my sophomore year, we had a nutritionist come in. This was right when weightlifting was built into the block schedule. And they showed us the movie about McDonald's called Super Size Me, in which the guy does this experiment on himself, becomes his own guinea pig, and he eats McDonald's for 30 days straight. And that for me kind of just clicked something, as in, whoa, what I'm eating affects how I train, it affects how I perform, and I want to be the best athlete that I can be. I was setting all of these goals, and I was seeing some changes with the weightlifting and with things like that, and kind of realizing, oh, this is another thing I could do to progress my athletic abilities. And so from there, I kind of dove into the world of food documentaries, and there are so many. I have watched probably 20. From there, I started reading articles whenever I could, podcasts, YouTube videos, and kind of started experimenting in the kitchen more and more. And I did my own kind of side research with books and articles and things like that, like I just mentioned, for about 8 months. And then I finally talked to my parents, and I was like, I want to try and go vegan. They were really skeptical about it. Trust me. They were like, if you want to do this, you have to cook your own food. And I had been, trying little things here and there, trying to, not eat meat until dinner, I was cooking for myself as much as I could to kind of practice and control what I was putting into my body also. And then from there, I was vegan right before my junior year. So basically a little bit more than a calendar year. From that point, and wow, I just remember seeing such a boost in my energy. And like that summer right before that camp, I felt like I would go every day, so excited to train, so excited to get stronger, because I knew I was building proper muscle for myself with food that I felt nourished me.
So a lot of information there, right?
A lot, yeah. Kind of.
Okay, so just as I was listening, there were a couple questions that kind of popped in my head. And one is, obviously in the United States, we consider athletics and nutrition, and we think of protein, we think of power, right? So obviously there's protein within almonds and beans, things like that. So how did your body respond when it went from, lowering protein content, and how did your performance perform during that time?
So it's actually really interesting. There is kind of a misconception about that. I've heard this from older students. As I said, I'm about to take the metabolism series next year, which there's one that focuses on macronutrients, which is protein, fat, carbs. And then there's another one which focuses on micronutrients. But from what I've heard from the older students in my major is actually that there's a big misconception regarding, oh, I need to eat as much protein as I can if I need to build all the muscle that I want. And what you really want to do is you really want to focus on those starchy carbs after a workout, as well as protein, of course, and things like that. But there's definitely a misconception that vegans don't get protein at all, like a very low amount, which is true if you don't know what you are eating. But I was an athlete and I was young and my parents were concerned. So, for the first 2 months, I used a website called chronometer.com and I would log everything. And so that they could see, like, I'm hitting micronutrients, I'm hitting macronutrients, I'm still nourishing my body correctly.
And so obviously with that type of pressure you have being a high schooler with trying to fit in, if you're a sports athlete, you're supposed to look a certain way, act a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
When you were eating healthy, was there a learning curve when it came down to, okay, I'm eating the correct amount of calories, but is this the correct amount of calories in response to the calorie output that I'm doing when it comes to energy?
Definitely that was a part of it, because I, for a long time, kind of I knew about, fat, carbs, protein, but it kind of took me a long time to visualize it on my plate. I kind of wanted to get as many vegetables in, but I would always throw in an entire can of beans or an entire block of tofu, but I wasn't really putting in, the rice or the quinoa. I would have oats in the morning and think, oh, that was fine. Or I would throw in some sweet potato, but not enough. So I definitely had to kind of learn what my plate looked like and how my plate was going to be different than the kids next to me and the kids at my table or the kids on my team. But it was because I was doing my own research and kind of testing out with myself, okay, on days when I lift right away, I feel way better after I eat something like this, and then go to practice rather than just eating like a few vegetables or like veggie sticks and hummus. Like, no, I know that I need a bowl with grains, I need a bowl with beans and tofu and vegetables, and if I flavor it right, it can make it so much more mentally satisfying as well.
How do you navigate a high schooler with eating and choosing their own foods, how you did in high school?
In high school, you kind of have to be a little bit more liberal, in the sense where, if I remember for me, when I first started getting into things like oatmeal, I didn't really feel like there was flavor in it. I didn't like them plain. I had to do something to it. So for me, I remember when I first started making that for breakfast every day, I would do oats with a mashed banana and then put some cinnamon and maple syrup on top. So it kind of tasted like a banana pancake almost. And like nowadays, I don't need the maple syrup, but at the time it kind of tied it together and made it comforting. And it wasn't like a syrup or something like that. It wasn't just straight sugar. It kind of, I don't know, for me, that was something where it was like baby steps, and I would try and add less and less of the bad stuff every single day. So I think that's a great step, is having a baseline of, okay, I'm going to try this thing, and it might not be, perfect, healthy thing, but every day I'm going to make little tweaks to it until I can finally appreciate, I used to be a kid where I would be given a spinach salad and I would take every leaf of spinach and individually dump it into like a side of ranch. And nowadays that sounds appalling to me. Like, I can't wrap my head around how I am the person I am today when I was that person. Or kind of just trying to see, oh, if I saute some spinach or kale into this meal, do I really taste it? Kind of things like that, where you can tweak it and see how you can throw in a little bit extra or take out something that's unhealthy.
And also, how do you navigate a college student with eating healthy within a fixed environment?
And then in terms of college, I think that it kind of depends on the meal plan for sure. Because I know some kids who, when our meal plan changed, they just felt like they had no access to anything. And then they would either just go to a grocery store and try and find the healthiest microwave thing that they could, or they would only eat from the same salad shop every single day. And I personally I was on the money side of things, so I kind of had free range over our campus. But, when you are in college, there's definitely a limitation. I definitely had those nights where all I wanted to do was go to the cafeteria and eat a bunch of fries. And, you kind of have to realize when you walk back to your dorm, like, I don't feel the same way as I did when I would have a meal at home. And it's like, oh, well, I just ate like 2 pounds of fries. That makes sense. I know that's not serving my body the best that it could be. So I think that, finding a breakfast that you feel good eating on campus. So for me, we had boxes of oats that you could get at the grocery store on campus. So I would do that and grab some fruit with that. And I would try and cook, and because I had a microwave in my room. So I would make microwavable oats every morning, kind of keeping to the same routine that I had in high school, because by then I would have that every morning. And then for lunches, they had those makeshift salad bars, but they also had grains in there. They had rice in there. So I would get those filling grains that I know would satisfy me, and then maybe throw in some spinach if I was feeling it. Throw in those bell peppers, the onions for flavor, things like that. And then if they had a side of sriracha, I would definitely throw that on. I remember we had this salad place on campus, and I would get a salad from there, but I would say, can I get a side of sriracha? Because it was like a dressing option. I would take it back to my room, and I would mix together peanut butter, lemon juice, and sriracha, and I would pour that on top as like a peanut sriracha Asian-esque type of salad. Totally butchering all of the peanut sauces, but it was kind of my own way of making it something that I enjoy to eat. So again, trying to find those sauces that really can make a healthy meal taste comforting and make it feel like you are indulging, but also acknowledging that not every meal is going to be perfect because you are limited, and being okay with that. Because I think if you start to beat yourself up, it can become a dangerous mentality.
Please go ahead and talk about the services that you're offering on your Instagram page, and any ways to connect with you if any athletes or people want to know more.
So my Instagram for my food personally is @foodbyjan, and then on campus, actually, I work on our social media team for our CalFresh outreach team. And I mentioned it earlier, but CalFresh is kind of what SNAP is called in California, and we kind of just work to help students who are food insecure get access to money for groceries, for healthy groceries every month. It's a federally funded system. So that Instagram is @CalFreshCalPoly. And I'm actually going to be, I did our Earth Day campaign. I'm going to be doing our hunger awareness campaign for their online too. But yeah, I'm kind of getting back into the swing of, trying to make meals look aesthetically pleasing and inspiring people with sauces and things like that they can make. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel more than happy to jump into my DMs. I would be more than happy to help. Or if you have any questions about college, being a nutrition major, I'm also more than happy to sit down, have a Zoom call with you, answer some quick DMs, anything like that.
Perfect. Well, Janelle, it was great seeing your face. I haven't seen you in so long.
I know.
And I'm so glad that you're continuing to thrive and learn and actually pass information as you learn it on, which is very, very, it's a great thing.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Continue, keep it going, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you.